So let's recap. You have the original ecosystem, the global ecosystem of the Earth. And that was fine for a while. And we know that repeating patterns in nature starts off with very simple patterns, branches out to complex interactions of patterns, repeating patterns. And the original ecosystem used to have its share of chaos. It came from chaos. Actually, the whole thing comes from the dispensation of broken symmetry, but we'll get into that. That's another discussion. So you have your original ecosystem, global ecosystem, and man evolved from that. Just another animal, right? But the animal man was given particular amount of time to evolve into intelligent life. Thanks to Jupiter, our guardian. You guys could look that one up. I'm not going off in a tangent about Greek gods, but Jupiter is most likely responsible for giving us enough time to evolve into an intelligent species. So you have the global ecosystem, an intelligent species evolves, and from that species a higher consciousness evolved from nature. Remember, nature being the ultimate matrix, nothing escapes it, everything comes from it. So it produced man, who is himself a psychological life form existing inside of a biochemical organism, the biochemical organism generating enough power to produce the human hologram. And so there you have it. You have this new organism, a psychological organism, introduced into the environment. And like the lake being choked off by a foreign organism, the global ecosystem has been affected by this event in nature. This new life form organism I call psychological organisms. So together, the psychological organisms produce a psychological environment that produces collective psychological organisms. Your Monsantos, your military industrial complexes, your religions, and they have a propensity, just like a biological organism, to become predatory. And so you have these gigantic predators, organisms roaming the earth, just like the dinosaurs, affecting the environment, just like the lake. And so what happened to the lake? Eventually it turned into a grassland, let's say. Turned into a grassland or swamp, but it balanced out. It became a balanced ecosystem eventually. So what's happening here? Eventually, the psychological organisms will become extinct and make way for the new paradigm, which I agree with Bruce Lipton is the Earth, biological, the new organism. And it makes sense that we form the the brain of the earth. So there may be some conflicting ideas that, well, we don't have to do that. Remember, there really is only two problems: either lack of understanding or lack of respect for nature. So eventually nature will win out. You know, people think, oh, we're going to be robots, or, you know, all these things. Well, actually, people kind of have a misunderstanding about extinction. 99.9% of all creatures have become extinct, and people have a bad sense of what extinction is. They think that we're going to die off, a plague, but there's one form of extinction that is actually preferable and should be sought after. That sounds crazy, doesn't it? To seek after extinction. But what I'm talking about is evolutionary extinction, which is passing on the torch. It's not being wiped out. Again, people have this two-dimensional thought about what a human being is. First, I explained that we're psychological life forms existing inside of a biochemical organism. So we got that. But a human is a transitory being. They have this two-dimensional idea that humans were placed as humans and animals, but in reality you have this transition. It's like a wave of evolution. And so, you know, we had predecessors. We had Neanderthal and Cro-Magnon, and so here we are. And we are now ready to pass on the torch, and not necessarily to robots, but robots again follow that pattern. I mean artificial. I'm talking about, when I say robots, I'm talking about artificial intelligence. And so, getting into that, by the time we have that technology, we most likely will have the same access to the same intelligence. So there won't be an us versus them necessarily, in my opinion. But so there it is, the human condition. We're transitory beings, we're psychological life forms, has formed. We've formed collective psychological organisms. And if you look closely around here in biology, you're going to find all of those patterns. All of them are here in biology. And it's just repeating it in the realm of consciousness. And so we go forward, achieve some kind of a singularity, reach another level of balance and equilibrium, then things get mixed up again, and we follow that natural pattern. So there it is, and here we are. It's a beautiful journey. And you know, as far as technology, let me throw in a few things. So what we believe, remember, nature always wins out. What we believe is technology right now, we think that we're so high in technology. And this is key, this is important for you guys to understand, for people to understand this, that we're not really at the pinnacle of technology right now, because a lot of our technology is cash cows for the psychological organisms. Meaning that, for instance, a car is a cash cow for the oil companies, cash cow for the auto manufacturers, and all the technologies. So why don't I think those are advanced? Well, because the purpose is not technology. The purpose is to feed the organisms that produce the technology. So when the earth transitions into the organism. For instance, we don't need oil. We don't need the technology of oil for the sake of supporting an organism, an oil company. No, instead, we have solar power. What's a solar powered car? There's no solar powered car, but there's enough solar power to power everything. There's a fellow back east. He powers his car, his house, everything solar power. How's he do that? He has a solar array of panels. In turn, that feeds a hydrogen generator. The hydrogen generator produces the gas, the hydrogen needed to power his car. His car is so powerful, by the way, it can power his entire house. And so he's doing that all within a small square footage of area. And so there you have it. The house, the car, everything powered by solar power. But so instead of having these technologies that feed these entities, for instance, the nuclear power needing to feed the military-industrial complex, it's uranium, plutonium, or whatever. We don't need that horrible power that produces incredibly horrible waste that we can't get rid of. That's poisoning the environment right now. We don't need that. Instead, our mind is free. Our technology is free to advance forward without being having these parasites leeching on to the technology for its sustenance. So that's what I mean by the technology that we have right now is not that advanced. It's not. It would be advanced. Like I say, nature eventually wins out. If we're in harmony with nature, with the great machine, things run a lot smoother and more efficient. We ourselves benefit. Our health, our technology. I mean, we have better things to do than feed a bunch of organizations. You ever wonder, some of these drives, cure this, cure that. They've done studies, and all the money and proceeds go to the organization, and nothing really goes to it's just for the sake of the organization, the psychological, collective psychological life forms. So there it is in a nutshell. And the more we understand it, the more we understand nature and the true matrix, it always wins out, So basically, that's the true path, And we can't, instead of fighting it and painfully fighting it, we can understand it and benefit from it. So I'm going to do some, here we are in the beautiful ecosystem. I'm going to do a few videos in places that people think that nature doesn't exist. Well, you guys have a surprise. Anyway, here we are, top of the hill.